And let him hang out. What's going on? Omowale, your name has been
What's
thrown out
going
a
on?
few times about yesterday in your stream.
Yeah, I've been watching on and off. I got trying to get the kids situated and ready for bed, for
Hmm.
school and all of that tomorrow. But a lot has been said. I guess I just want to start by saying to you, Court, that I definitely want to offer you my condolences for the
Hmm.
losses that you've experienced personally.
Hmm.
I didn't catch the beginning of the stream, but my wife gave me the gist of what it was. You were talking about the loss, close friend you experience
Hmm.
due to domestic violence. But what I really wanted to riff on is I wanted to let you know first and foremost, Cord, that this space doesn't deserve you. but
Oh,
but I'm happy that this space has you
that's
because
why do you say that?
I say that because you make yourself vulnerable, your authentic self vulnerable in a way that not many content creators will. I think that you do a great job at creating a space for healing and for healthy dialogue to occur without people digging in and going into their respective foxholes.
Hmm.
I feel like one of the things that I said to you once behind the scenes was that, I would like to see your space become like a couch almost for like the Manosphere. Like people come and sit down on Courtney's couch and they get access to some real time therapy. And in listening to what the brother Yellow Twitch, shout out to you, fam, listening to what he just shared publicly, he just made himself vulnerable
Hmm.
in front of an entire space to share his real wounds, both physically, externally, and internally, in terms of what he's been going through. So I think that this space needs a lot more of people who are willing to come to the middle ground and engage in healthy dialogue. Now, what I
Hmm.
will say is that what made me do the live stream yesterday, and I did hear a lot of people reference it, um, is nothing personal against the lead attorney. No personal issue with that brother.
Hmm.
But what made me do the live stream is that this space, the red pill space, the manosphere space, has a seismic blind spot when it comes to reading the temperature in the room and understanding the mindset and attitudes that many black men are dealing with. And I think that because we have that seismic blind spot, it makes room for an echo chamber where certain language is trafficked in that is not only unhealthy for the men in this space, but it is unhealthy for any woman who will come in contact with a man who has consumed such content. I was looking at a few live chats today, and I'm not going to mention the names of the content creators. One of the chats, they were talking about this situation. Black women were being referred to as German shepherds,
Hmm.
cockroaches. Uh, Men were in the chat saying that those bitches got what they deserved.
Wow.
I watched a chat where brothers were using the hashtag today is the day, and people were putting laughing emojis under it. Now, if you understand that hashtag, that's the last words that people heard Rajee, J, whatever his name, J Black say on that video.
Hmm.
So the reason why I had to, I guess, hold the TLA, hold him to the fire, everything that I posted, every clip that I put up during that live stream was the lead attorney not only blaming the victims for what happened to them. He said he used words like they instigated this incident. He used words like they pushed him to do this. The second woman learned from the first woman what to do. So
Hmm.
he was creating and drawing a narrative and feeding a beast in this space that is already emotionally unstable. Right? He did not do his research on the story. He made a guarantee during the live stream that the man probably had not seen his kids in 6 months. Meanwhile, the man had his kids with him after killing his child's mother, and on his way to kill his wife. The kids were with him. So from my perspective, it's irresponsible. And it's an example of the tail wagging the dog. So this space is toxic, and I'm okay with cracking the echo chamber. I'm okay with saying what's not being said or disagreeing with people regardless of their status or their stature. So if folks were upset by anything that I said, and I'm not necessarily talking about the TLA, I'm talking about any man who felt like, they could put themselves in the shoes of the murderer, to an extent, I'll empathize with the men who feel like they can put themselves in the shoes of that moment. But if I'm being real, like, I really don't care, because I think that what's on the other side of this situation in terms of the potential for violence and extreme aggression is something that we are ignoring. And I think that as a space where men are having our voices heard, I think that we are ignoring it to our own detriment. So I want to thank you again for making this space for healing dialogue to occur. But at the end of the day, we have to mature the discussion, and we have to call out bullshit when we see it. So that's my perspective.
I appreciate you, Omowale. You're always dropping something. And I appreciate you so much. And I think the space needs you as well as Yellow, as well as Nathan. Like, it has to be a balance. And it has to be where we do want to resolve. Like, the first time I really talked to you, Omowale, it's like, what's your purpose here? What do you want? And I said, the missing link, or resolve. But shit, I can't do this by myself. We need your voices to crack some of this anger. Like, I get it, we mad. But damn. How long we gonna be angry? How long are we gonna isolate ourselves from each other? Because again, this also perpetuates the depression that we are in, the state that we can't get along. And so you have women 40, 50 years old not relating to a man, and vice versa. And we're isolating ourselves, and we are lonely, and it's the holidays. And you mean we can't get along where I'm at home by myself all the time with a dog, with my kids, but not with a man that I'm supposed to love, that's supposed to love me, because I'm listening to bullshit all day on YouTube telling me that you're just a modern woman? Okay, and like, I'm too old. Are you a pick me? I'm 38. I'm a woman that understands that I need a man. And I like you if you like me, and let's try to work this shit out. Because if not, God knows what might happen. I need you for my health, for my sanity, because I can't do this alone. And I can't do this if I'm still dealing with mental problems from old relationships. We have to heal. Or these situations are going to come up time and time again. And these people in these echo chambers that think it's okay because she had it coming is applauding the bullshit and murders.
Terrible.
It's.
I think I'll just chime in real quick.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges is that we see this same problem on both sides. And I think what you're having is this, again, I think OG Patrice spoke on it, about this gender war. I don't know where or why this war even exists, to be completely honest. I know there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. People have a lot of mega platforms. And what it seems like is we're choosing profit over solutions. And just to be completely clear, from what I've seen, is that we're not coming together having good faith arguments, both sides, both genders. for the same conversation that we're having, I believe, gentlemen, I know they called you Twitch, Yella, made a statement, which I thought was very true. And again, you guys, I deal with this all the time, speaking on law enforcement issues, right? You know, people calling calling me Uncle Tom or a sellout just simply because I do this profession. And so I understand. So when we're having these conversations of people who don't want to listen, who can't just sit down and say, let's listen to the facts. Let's listen to understand each other, not listen because you just want to say something and be right. You know, you don't want to have a healthy conversation. And this is something I see all the time in our community, the ignorance, you know, just pure ignorance. We can bring facts and put it right in front of us and we just won't look at it, right? And there's a saying that it's easier to fool a person than to tell a person they've been fooled. And this is true within our community, right? And so what he said, what Yellow was talking about, how you can go on a lot of these other platforms and they're, you know, they're pro female, pro black woman. And what they're doing is they're bashing and degrading men and, you know, talking down on men. This is way before men had a platform, way before men had the Manosphere. Women were doing this, black women were doing this to black men. I've seen it. You know, we've seen black men do it to pander to women. So now that men actually have a space, you're starting to see all the frustration that never was expressed, that no one was ever paying attention to. And so a lot of times it has gotten to a place where you have different levels of it. You have some guys who are really extreme. You have some that are moderate, and you have some that are really chill, and you have some that are very balanced, where we can look at both sides and then say, hey, listen, this is the logical reasoning behind this. Let's talk about it. And you have some people that are extremely hard-headed on both sides. So the question is, how do we find solutions? I'm a very solution-based person, which is why I love what you're doing, getting to the root of the problem. What's the root of the issue? And to be honest, and I watched the whole stream with TLA stated, you know, he was talking about everything. I think it's easy for us to mischaracterize certain things that we hear if we don't hear the whole entire conversation. And the things he pointed out were the court systems. He pointed out behaviors of the women, behaviors of that man. The reality is there is a lot of issues in our court system. We have a lot of women in our community that use the courts. They weaponize the courts and they actually falsify information and they bury men under the court system. And this is someone, I'm telling you, at 13 years experience doing this. I've watched women make false police reports on men. I've watched them do the most sinister things to men. So what we're saying is that no, we don't agree with no one agrees with what he did. But we can't ignore that these things are happening. By the grace of God, you have men who are able to maintain their sanity, maintain their discipline, and not do things like harm themselves or harm someone else. And just last month, we had a sister in Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta. We had two power couples, a black woman and a black man. I believe they're really wealthy. And she killed him. And then she took her own life. And this is you heard about that, Yella. And so this is something, but no one was vilifying her, right? People were saying, okay, well, what was she going through? Something must have been wrong. You know, what did he do to her to cause that? So this is the issue. You know, we're not taking the time out and to say, listen, you guys, this is an agenda thing. This is a mental health thing. This is what's going on in our relationships, us trying to maintain these lifestyles that we see in social media. You know, you guys don't see the stuff, the antics people will try to do just to look like they are something that they're not. You know, I get to see all those things. And these are the things that are causing us mental health issues as well. You know, it's such a deep, deep issue. And, you know, we need to prioritize these conversations more.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, the naked truth, I'm going to get to you as well. So thank you for your patience. And I think, again, with these conversations, it's the root. Are these situations preventable?
Right.
Are they?
To a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree. We'll never remove it all, right? When we look at this situation with Rajee, what are the things that are factors in here? We can't change a person's behavior. We can't legislate a person's actions. Unfortunately, law enforcement, the way we operate is very reactive. You know, you brought up the incident with the football player who threw the girl into the TV. She talked about how she made reports after reports, but there were no evidence. But I made a video on that as well. The department dropped the ball on that because when they responded to that incident, she had all the evidence, and it took them, I believe, like 4 or 5 days before they actually took a warrant out for her arrest, for his arrest. I apologize. And in that time frame, he could have came back and took her life, you know. And so we see where the system fails women. We see where the system fails people just in general. And this does happen often. I had a case where I had a lady who made a report. We arrived. I had the evidence. I arrested him. And then a week later, he comes out, he's released, and he goes and takes her life. So then the question is, how can you prevent another person for doing those things? You know, and it's very hard. When we look at the courts, what are the courts' responsibility? They have to act on evidence. And again, like I said earlier, unfortunately, we have a lot of women who wait too long to do the part that they can do. And that's where we're starting to see this issue. When I read those statements, the letters that she wrote to the court, she was talking about everything in the past. And that it looks like that relationship waited so long to the point to where it was too far gone, right? There was a statement she put in there about how he's coming to get the other half of the money for the house that she sold, which said to me is that they had a house together. They were married.
Right.
They got the divorce. She sold the home and she didn't give him whatever he was owed. See, those are games, and those things. And again, though those things, you know, get played out in real life, there are real life consequences, and we have to talk about those. No one's agreeing with that behavior, but we do have to say, listen, you don't know the type of person you're gambling with. And I tell people that all the time. You have to be careful with the words, with your actions. We can't assume that someone is going to be as grace, you know, show us the same grace as we show them.
Can I ask a question really quick?
Yes, sir.
You just made a statement. You said that you read in the paperwork that she had sold the house and she was waiting for him to come get the half of the money.
No, the statement. Apparently, in the statement, she said something to the effect of, he wanted to get the other half of the money of the house that was sold.
Okay, and then you characterize that as a game.
As a what?
As a game. You said she was playing games with him.
If here's how it works. A lot of times in divorce.
No. You just made it. You just made a statement.
Yeah, that's a game.
How do you know that she was playing a game with him by stating that she was waiting for him to come get the other half of the money?
What I'm speaking of is what tends to happen in situations where these people
we're talking about the situation that
Are you going to allow me to? Are you going to let me speak?
No, because what you're doing right now.
No, I'm not doing that. Are you going to let me speak and finish? You asked me a question, but you're not letting me give my response.
No, you can give your response.
I appreciate you. So what I stated was people play games. If he was owed money, that money should have been given to him.
So how are you characterizing that as a game? How do you know she was playing a game? You just characterize what she did as a game. How do you know?
That's a game that people play.
How do you know she was playing? This is the problem. Y'all continue to come up here and y'all continue to paint the situation one way or the other, and you don't know. You're feeding assumptions and you are painting a narrative. You just said you read in the transcript that she was waiting for him to come get the money. Based upon that one fact, you then jumped a whole mile and said she's playing a game. How do you know based upon that fact that she's playing a game?
The statement is this. If she sold a home, which she stated in that paperwork, he came and wants the other half of the money. She did not give. It's in there. She's implying that she didn't give the money. Is that not a game?
Listen, you're reading into things. You're saying she's like, if she said that I'm
waiting, we can pull it up.
There's no need to pull it up.
We need to pull it up.
No. Hold on. Listen. What you cannot do in these emotionally charged situations is take a piece of information and then create a narrative. By you saying she was playing a game based upon that one piece of information is you creating a narrative. I could create a narrative on the other side, but I'm not going to do it. How do you know she didn't want to wait for, to be in a safe space where she could give him the money? She said that she's been threatened in the past and she's afraid for her life. So how do you know that she wanted to be in a secure space? You don't know, and I don't know. So I'm not making that statement, but you are. And that's the problem.
No, the problem is we have people talking about the subject matter and don't have any experience to be able to speak on it.
Like yourself.
What I'm explaining.
Like yourself.
What I'm explaining.
You're reading into the subject matter, and then you're going to lean on your expertise to say, I can paint a picture because I'm a magician. I'm a cop. So I've seen these situations, so I can just go ahead and create a picture. And my status as law enforcement gives me the ability to just go ahead and use conjecture. That's bullshit.
No, the problem is we're having a conversation about real life events.
Yes,
and you're having a
narrative. And you are painting a narrative, and you can't humble yourself and say, you know what, brother, I was wrong. I don't know if she was playing games. You know why? Because you don't know. So say that instead of doing what you're doing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, here's the problem. Here's the problem. First of all, you need to relax. Okay, stop coming with the emotional argument.
Okay.
You're
playing into the emotions of the audience by saying that she's playing a game. This is an emotional topic, so I can be as emotional as I want to be. I can be angry and I can be fucking.
And being overly emotional is what got that man and them two women in the ground. So why don't you try listening?
Listen,
hold on. Because I don't want to make it a screaming match. I don't want to scream. I don't want to make it a screaming match. I don't want to make it a screaming match. I don't want to make it a screaming match. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Hold on. You're jumping into a conversation between two other men and saying you don't want to make it.
But you making an assumption. You making an assumption.
You jumping into a
chill out, brother.
Between two other men and telling me
because hold on. You want to know why? Because you said something I could have took offense to when you came in. You also made a few statements that anybody else could have got mad. Why don't you let him speak?
This brother.
I'm going to put everybody on mute.
Let him speak.
I'm going to put everybody on mute. So we have to relax. I understand it's a lot going on. And understand someone feels this way and someone feels that way. Everybody's feelings is valid. But we have to let each other speak about it. And if we disagree with something, cool, but we have to speak. So let me do this. Nathan, I actually have some of the reports that was filed. Let me pull them up. Because I understand what you guys are both saying. Nathan has experience in this. And so he's talking about his experience. While I understand what you're saying, because you don't want people to jump to conclusions of what a sentence means. I get what you both are saying. But let's have the dialogue first. So can we not please talk over each other? This is a place of healing.
First of all, I apologize to you, Court. I didn't mean to disrespect your platform. This is a very passionate issue for me. So listen, as Black man, brother, I'm going to apologize to Nathan. I'm going to apologize to Twitch because we don't got to get indignant. We can talk as men.
I agree, and thank you, Courtney, as well. And Omowale, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I apologize. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I agree with you 100%. My intention was not to create a narrative. My intention was to explain how these situations can incite a person and take a person over the edge. And I'm using my experience to try to bring insight to the conversation. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people aren't privileged to know what goes on behind the scenes within the courts. I sit in hours in courtrooms and I hear what actually goes on. So I apologize to you as well. That was not my intentions. And I apologize for saying you were emotional. I should have said you were passionate. Okay, so I'm not here to disrespect anybody because we cannot grow as a community, especially as men. We cannot build if we're fighting each other. We're all on the same side. All right. What you're saying is 100% correct. And a lot of people are creating narratives because their intentions are wicked. And that's not what we're doing here. We're having an honest conversation. I just come from a different perspective because of my background. And so I can speak on both sides. I've seen women treat men bad. I've seen men treat women bad in this same space. So I don't want anybody to think it's one-sided, but we're talking about this particular issue. So I don't have an issue retracting my statement. I just wanted the opportunity to clarify. That's all. So again, I apologize about that, and it meant no disrespect.
Listen, no apology necessary. We're having an exchange. There was a difference of opinion. The issue that I had is, leading into your statement, you mentioned that folks were mischaracterizing the lead's statements, his arguments, and I felt like you kind of like did a similar thing, so that's why I was pointing it out.
No, I
understand what I'm saying. I think
I respect that.
When you say that, that's an example of like game playing, then for me, I'm like, okay, you're spinning a narrative, and I could get your background, I get your experience, but nothing about your background or experience gives you the ability to say in that incident, the fact that you just pointed out was an example of her playing a game.
And I respect that, and I don't disagree with that. And all we can do, honestly, the whole purpose of learning and growing, we do have to take situations and criticize. We do have to take situations and speculate. That's the only way we learn, right? So if we don't try to examine all avenues of what took place, we're not going to grow by not assuming. We have to assume. We have to, because this man stated in his video, we have to also assume that he was 100% being honest. And we have to also assume that he was 100% lying. And I say that in complete transparency, because the reality is these things happen more than you think. This was put on the pedestal. This was examined by all of us to see. And we don't have all the facts because the people who could tell us a true story are not here. What we do know is something did happen. There was something that was going on. He was suffering from depression. And we know the courts did not do anything about it. We have to ask ourselves why. What we do know is she spoke on a history of domestic violence, but she never got the help. She never got help from law enforcement, and she didn't get help from the courts. And these are things we have to talk about. But why did he get pushed over the edge? What were the things that she was doing, though she may have been justified to do, that caused him to tip him in that direction?
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. Let's get the naked truth and Nelson Counseling to say something too, because they've been patiently.
Can I hop in real quick? Yeah, because I want to bounce out, but I do want to apologize to everybody on the panel. I want to talk to the brothers about the brothers. I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name, but no need to interfere. You know what I'm saying? But I want to say this to the good brother who had the issue with the narrative. You got to understand that you want to navigate a gray area in black and white, and it's not gonna happen. There's not gonna be one definitive side on who's never, because how I feel about it might be different from how you feel about it. But if you ain't been in them shoes, there's a different set of shoes closer to the person who's actually in them.
Right.
So here's the thing: if we are going to impose our personal experiences onto a situation that is emotionally charged, that is not our situation. Every situation has to be judged on its own merit. And in our imposition, if we are going to slant it and say that the people who were killed they pushed the perpetrator to do so, because that's the language that's being used. So the question I was going to ask is, do we know how mental illness works? Because nobody has to push you if you're mentally ill. There's nothing I can do to control your mental
illness. Why I disagree with you. That's why I disagree with you. Okay. You want to know why? Because before I was in my situation, I had no thoughts of doing what I was going to do.
Okay.
I didn't have no signs of mental illness.
I guess
I wasn't taking no medicine. Hold on, brother. Hold on. I'm gonna definitively answer your question.
What?
That's how you can be pushed.
Yep.
When you fighting an uphill battle against somebody who has that type of power over you, whether it's a mother and a child, whether it's a job, whether it's anything, you can be pushed. Hold on. You can be pushed. Think all the people who had to exist. Hold on. Think all the people who had to exist through the pandemic that ain't here now because they couldn't make it through 2020. Them people wasn't messed up. If you haven't been pushed to that level, congratulations.
Can I give a